All right, welcome to the explainer. You know those four spinal conditions with names that sound ridiculously similar? Yeah, spondylosis, spondylitis, spondylisis, and spondylolisthesis. Today we're going to make sense of them once and for all. So, be honest, do these names all just blur into one for you? Hey, if they do, you are definitely not alone. But stick with me because by the end of this, you'll be able to tell them apart with total confidence. Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to start by looking at the first pair. And these two are both actual disease processes. Just think of it as wear and tear versus inflammation. And getting this difference is so important because it totally changes how you'd approach treating them. So first up, we've got spondylosis. The absolute simplest way to think about this one is age-related wear and tear. I mean, think about it. It's the same kind of change you might see in any joint in your body as it gets older, but we're talking specifically about the spine here. So yeah, the big takeaway here is that it's degenerative. This isn't something that just pops up overnight. Nope. It's the result of literally decades of moving around, all that mechanical stress adding up, which is exactly why you see it pop up in middle-aged and older folks. Okay, and this picture, it shows it perfectly. Just ignore all the words for a second and look at that diagram on the top left. You see those kind of jagged edges? Those are bone spurs. And see how the space between the bones is getting smaller? That is classic spondylosis. It's the physical proof of all that long-term wear and tear. Now, let's switch gears completely and talk about spondylitis. This is a totally different ballgame. Spondylosis was about mechanical stuff, right? Well, spondylitis is all about inflammation. We're talking about a full-on disease process here. So, unlike that wear and tear, this is where the body's own immune system gets confused and actually starts attacking the joints in the spine. And get this, the key differences are huge. It usually hits young adults, and a classic telltale sign is this really bad morning stiffness that lasts for more than half an hour.
Okay, now let's look at the image on the top right. The most important thing to see here is that red glow all around the spine. That's not just for looks. That represents the active inflammation that is the signature of spondylitis. See, it's not a mechanical thing, it's a biological one, and that glow just nails it.
So, let's nail this down. Spondylosis, degenerative. Think wear and tear in older folks. Spondylitis, inflammatory. Think autoimmune in younger adults. Totally different problems, right? Which means, of course, totally different ways to treat them. All right, on to our next pair. Now we're shifting gears from diseases to actual structural problems. These next two are all about a physical issue, basically a crack and a slip. And that brings us to spondylosis. So what is it at its core? It's a stress fracture, plain and simple. And it happens in this one tiny, specific part of the vertebra, a little bridge of bone called the pars interarticularis. And who gets this? Well, you see it a lot in young athletes and sports that involve tons of repetitive back arching. I'm talking gymnasts, football linemen, divers, anyone who does that motion over and over. And all that repetitive stress can eventually lead to this tiny little fracture. Okay, check out the diagram on the right. You see that little red line? That little crack in the bone? That, right there, is exactly what spondylosis is. That crack is the lysis we're talking about, a super specific structural problem. So what happens if that crack, that spondylolisthesis, actually makes the vertebra unstable? Well, that's when you can get spondylolisthesis, and this is where the whole bone actually slips forward over the one underneath it. And here's why this is a big deal. That slip can start pinching the nerves. And that's why you get not just back pain, but that shooting pain, numbness, or even weakness that goes down the leg. See, the fracture by itself, usually just back pain, but the slip, that's what brings the nerves into the picture. And this picture on the right, man, it makes the difference crystal clear. We're not just looking at a tiny crack anymore. You can totally see how the entire bone has slid forward, and now the whole spine is misaligned. That is spondylolisthesis. So for these two, the takeaway is really simple. Lysis is the fracture. Listhesis is the slip. And yeah, a lot of the time that lysis, the fracture, is what causes the listhesis, the slip. One is the crack, and the other is what can happen because of it. All right, so we've tackled them in pairs. Now to really make sure this sticks, let's get all four of them up on the screen together. This is where the magic happens. I mean, look at this. This is the ultimate cheat sheet. You can see it all in one shot. You've got spondylosis, the wear and tear disease, spondylitis, the inflammatory autoimmune one. Then there's spondylolysis, the structural fracture from stress. And finally, spondylolisthesis, the actual slippage. Each one has its own clear identity, right?
So you might be thinking, this is great, but how am I going to make this stick forever? Well, there's a really simple trick, and honestly, it's been hiding in plain sight the entire time. Okay, here's the secret. You have to completely ignore the first part of the word, spondy. That just means spine, so it's not helpful. The real key, the absolute magic trick, is to focus only on the suffix, the very end of each word. And here they are. You just have to remember these 4 little endings. First, OSIS. That means a condition or a process. In this case, degeneration. Next, itis. If you see itis on any medical word, it means inflammation. Easy. Then you have lysis. That means to break apart, a break. And finally, listhesis. That literally means slippage. Seriously, if you can just lock these 4 endings in your brain, you will never mix these up again. Ever. It is honestly that simple. Just by looking at the suffix, you instantly know what kind of problem you're dealing with. Is it wear and tear? Is it inflammation? Is it a crack? Or is it a slip? And just like that, you've completely untangled 4 of the most confusing terms in spinal medicine. So what other crazy complex medical topics should we simplify for you next? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in.